I lived on the bank only once, and it was during my semester abroad. And it was, when I compare it to later years in Paris, it was definitely like, it was like the Paris you see in movies. And it was what made me fall in love with Paris. So I don't regret living there. And it is, where you'll find Café Fleur, de Mégo, and the Latin Quarter, and La Sorbonne, and the Luxembourg Gardens, and this very, very picturesque area in Paris, the 5th and 6th arrondissement. But it's also very, like, I guess, an insular sort of part of Paris, where it's either French people who have lived there, for decades, their family has had an apartment there, or maybe even longer than decades, or it's a lot of American tourists, or just other tourists in general, or it's a lot of students. So it doesn't really it feels like a vacation from real life in many ways. It feels like a fairy book version of Paris. You're walking around, you stop at one cafe and, write for a couple hours, and then you go to another cafe and you read your book and you're drinking your coffee the entire day. And
P.S. You'll be spending a lot on those coffees, by the way. On
like
that side.
4 times what you could get a coffee for in, the 19th. But I think it's definitely worth exploring as a tourist, or even as someone who lives in Paris. There's a lot of history in those parts of the city. But again, it feels like the Paris you see in the movies, but not real life Paris.